If you've ever told yourself, I just need to stay calm, you've been sold a half truth, because elite performers don't win by being calm. They win by using emotion as data and refusing to let it drive the steering wheel. In today's masterclass of a conversation, I have the utmost privilege and pleasure of sitting down with mindset and performance coach Collin Henderson to unpack what actually separates average performers from elite ones. Not talent, not even skill, but the ability to reduce internal interference when pressure spikes, whether that's on the first tee, the back nine, or in the biggest moments in your business or life. Collin Henderson is the founder and CEO of Master Your Mindset and one of today's leading voices in mental conditioning. A former two-sport Division I athlete and top-ranked medical sales professional, he left corporate success to coach elite performers full-time. Acclaimed broadcaster Jim Rome calls him an authority of what matters most, an elite mindset. Collin has authored 7 books and counting, I believe, hosts the Master Your Mindset podcast, and has trained #1 NBA draft picks, Heisman finalists, and top performers across pro sports and Fortune 500 companies. Buckle up. This is a fun conversation. I learned a tremendous amount. I went back, reviewed the transcript and the episode to take more notes. I know you're going to find immense value. So without further ado, please help me welcome Collin to the show. Collin, most people think that emotional regulation is just about staying calm. But you know as well as anybody that elite performers in any sport, any industry, use their emotions, work with their emotions rather than fighting them, suppressing them. From your experience, what separates the most successful individuals from those who are not when it comes to managing their emotions?
Interesting. I love the first question. Let's go. So, words are the language of the body. Emotions are language. So, no, words are language of the brain. Emotions are language of the body. So the emotions can tell us something, but if you let your emotions guide your behavior, guide the choices you make, you're going to be screwed in business and in golf. Yeah. So you don't have to feel confident to perform confidently. You don't have to kind of, have all the answers to win. You don't, always have to be, at this elite level of emotions or feelings. But I do think there are good lessons you can learn. Like, what is this emotion telling me? What can I learn about myself? What have I not worked on? And a great quote I go back to from Dr. Ken Ravizza, who's a pioneer in the mindset teaching spaces. If you can't control your state, you can't control your performance. So there's a lot of things we can do as a business owner and as a golfer. It begins before it begins. Prehab is having a routine of breath work, what gear you're wearing, what's your pre-swing routine, what's your pre-presentation routine, and just kind of notice where you are. But the thing what I love about the mind and the body is your first thought will be negative, but your second, third, fourth thought doesn't have to be. You may feel a little bit unsure, or you may feel a little like I'm an imposter, or you may feel frustrated coming off the front nine, but you can re-regulate with things like self-talk, how you visualize. So I can't wait to unpack all that.
Yeah, you gave me 15 different stepping off points. I love it. So come back to this first point. You can perform confidently, and I might butcher this, without feeling confident. Give us some clarity there. Give me an example as well to help our audience really understand what you mean.
Yeah, and I kind of butchered the intro to the first thing I said. Let me just describe it again. Words are the language of the brain. Emotions are language of the body. But you don't have to be thinking confidently, like right out the gate. You could have self-doubt. You could be, man, this dude I'm playing against is a savage, or, this course is new, or the weather conditions are horrific. And you can feel in your body, I don't feel in the zone. I don't feel in flow. I don't feel like I have a lot of energy. I'm tired. And what I've seen, what separates average to elite is You don't have to feel great to perform great. So let me teach you 4 levels of confidence, Paul. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
So this podcast is not like, oh, motivation, feel good. This is like a coaching session. So if you're serious about your business, you're serious about wanting to be a scratch golfer or better, let's look at this like we're going to the gym, but the mind gym. This is, take a moment, pause, listen, reflect, take some notes down. Can't just exercise, got to exercise. So the first level of confidence is you feel fear or fear and you have no confidence. Like there's just zero confidence. You lost before you started. You're playing against one of your rivals or you're playing against someone else and you're like, I can't beat this guy. I can't beat this guy. Like this course, like I'm screwed. Like you lost before you started and you were a pro in poker. Like I can't beat this guy. Like he knows everything. Like you lost before you started.
Yeah.
The next level is what's called shaky confidence. Shaky confidence is where you need to see an outcome in order to feel and think confidently. You need to see a result, ball go in the cup. Your first drive has to be good. Your confidence is conditional to seeing before believing. Shaky. So it could be there, but it's not real stable because you got to see a good swing or you got to see a sale to come through in order to believe in your offer, your pitch, or your golf game that day. The third level is what's called stable confidence, is you don't need to see a result, but you need verbal validation from others. Your confidence is conditional to what you think other people think. Have you ever, done a podcast and like ask your, I don't know, producer or your friend or your spouse or, hey, how'd that sound? Like you need someone else to validate your work, your art. So let's go back to shaky and then stable. So it takes a professional basketball player like Steph Curry to go 0 for 13 and keep shooting. Yeah. That's a professional. It takes a professional like Taylor Swift, who made Life of a Showgirl, and not give a shit about what people think because that art is coming from her passion, her experience, and her joy. Yeah. It takes a professional. So the fourth level, which is the elite, it's the apex, it's the pinnacle, is what's called unshakable confidence, where you can kind of equate pretty logically now. You don't need to see a result and you don't need validation from others to believe. So, and your mind is kind of like your, collaborator. Your brain is your collaborator. And it's like, how do I feel right now? You could actually have a conversation. I don't feel like I have total rhythm right now. I don't have that like pre-shot confidence. But what if here's the step, Paul, is to act your way into the feeling. Is to act your way into the feeling. So the 3 steps that was inspired by one of my mentors, his name is Brian Cain. If y'all know the mental game, you know who Brian Cain is. Yeah. Is breathe big, act big, think big. Yeah. Take a few deep breaths to calm your nervous system. My best golf rounds is when my breath and my swing are in sync. Where instead of worrying about like, what's my foursome, they're judging my swing here. No, just like I allow my breath to allow my nervous system to be present, to be calm. So breathe in, act big is just have expansive body language. Yeah. Like get your chest up, head up, use your body to change your state. If you want to change your psychology, use your physiology. If you want to change your emotion, use motion. But I think the last one, think big, is talk yourself into confidence. Go back to I'm prepared. I'm ready. I'm going to trust my pre-shot routine. I'm going to trust the terrain of this course. If you're presenting, as a business owner, it's easy to go, what can go wrong and, catastrophize. And what's interesting, Paul, is the brain thinks in 4 dimensions. So a word creates a picture the brain sees, an emotion the body feels, a belief that the subconscious holds. So if you're going in projecting, don't shank it, don't hit it in the water, don't duff it, don't stutter, you're literally carving a roadmap for your nervous system, your body to follow through with that. So the counter is to shift your don'ts to your do's. So instead of saying, don't swing it like this, shift your mind to do it like this, So breathe big, act big, think big. And that's just kind of some pre-shot. I can talk forever about the mental game. So you got to just pinpoint where you want to go.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we could mic drop, done. Masterclass in confidence. That was awesome. And for those of you listening, just like Collin alluded to, you've got to take notes and be an active participant in this conversation. So if you're not taking notes, if you haven't paused and gone back and re-listened, you're missing gold. So I want to dig a little bit further there. I have an imagination, but I want to hear from you. Most people listening live in phases 2 and 3 of confidence. Sometimes it's completely shaky, if it's there at all. And some of the listeners, and myself at times in different domains too, manage to have shakable confidence. How do we begin to condition ourselves to show up with unshakable confidence? What is the work that needs to be done to arrive at that place where confidence is our default?
There's a few, but let's just look at what Dr. Michael Gervais calls the number one killer of performance. It's FOPO, which is fear of other people's opinions. So you're worried about what someone else thinks of you, like who's ever observing your golf game. Like, but think about that. Like when you play by yourself or you do a practice round, when you're at the driving range, when no one's watching, you don't worry about how you look and you probably swing better. The moment you get to that tee and you have the first tee, you have some wagers going on and you know, you're with your buddy or a new friend or someone's golf game you admire, you automatically start thinking about what they are thinking. And that is creating a massive distraction. So I'm going to give you all an equation that I want you to think about. Okay, let's just break this down. Talent plus skill minus internal interference equals execution probability. Talent plus skill, which is practice and developing. Talent is given. Like I don't know how tall you are, Paul, maybe 6 foot or some are taller. You weigh a certain way. You have certain strength. Like you have certain hand-eye coordination. Like you're given certain things. But skill can be trained. It can be developed. But the separator is the lower the internal interference, the higher the execution probability. So you kind of ask yourself, like, what is causing me internal interference? Like, is it I want to prove myself to who I'm with? Is it, you know, this handicap? Like I have to like hit a certain score to love myself, to have a certain handicap or to feel confident? So I just think the thing you gotta be like, is FOPO eroding your confidence? So if it's not FOPO, here would be the second one is when I train pro athletes or athletes that work in the Olympics or whatever, is tell me about your childhood. Because a lot of times we've been subconsciously conditioned to fear or attach worth to a result. So like, this is, again, I'm not a therapist, I'm a mindset coach, but it's kind of like there are some patterns that you have been subconsciously trained to either A, worry about what you think other people are thinking, or you're attaching your worth to a performance. So that would be something to think about. Like, what is causing this internal interference? So the first thing I would do would be to quote research by James Clear, author of Atomic Habits. Paul, what do you think the number one driver of behavior is?
The reward, the feeling.
Like, what is the number one lever that drives and how people act and behave? The reward?
Yeah, or pain versus pleasure.
So you only golf because you want to shoot a 72?
Well, within that would be the fulfillment, the process of growth, the opportunity to grow, realize skill and potential.
Yeah, I think that totally plays into the role. But according to Clear's research, identity is the number one driver of behavior, as in your self-image.
Yeah.
Your identity. You never outperform your self-image. So you hear people say, I'm not a morning person. I have a sweet tooth. Like, I'm horrible at chipping. You know, I can hit a long putt, but those 5-footers, I have a problem with. You know, or if you're a business owner, you own a business. I'm a horrible public speaker. You're screwed because you're creating an identity and your actions and behaviors align with how you see yourself. So I think the first thing is like, what are you verbalizing out loud? What are you giving yourself a label? That's probably your first limit. Yeah. That's probably what's making you not feel confident because you maybe have a pool of past experiences that you've collected and you've quantified and you've labeled yourself. It's black and white. I can't do it, or I can do it. But we know with neuroplasticity, your brain can completely change itself.
Yeah.
So you've been grooving subconscious thoughts and conscious behaviors that's carving a neural pathway of belief about yourself.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, what are these unconscious, conscious memories that I keep replaying? And then these are fears that I'm projecting. So you are naturally unaware, reliving past mistakes, pre-living potential future failures. So you're carving out neural pathways that's sabotaging your ability to execute what you want to do.
And would you go a step further to say that pattern creation in of itself is a way of keeping you safe, because that pattern is familiar, and predictable? Therefore, your brain subconscious craves the comfort and safety of it all?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. The movie Inside Out 2 grossed over $1 billion, and they introduced Riley, she's a teenager, this character called Anxiety. And Anxiety thinks she's protecting Riley. She thinks she's protecting Riley, but she's sabotaging Riley's authenticity, her ability, her skills. So I guess would be step one would be to identify the source. Are you worried about what people think? Is there an experience you had younger in your golf career, or your business career, that you had a bad experience? There's a powerful book called The Body Keeps a Score. Said differently, the issues are in the tissues, like you're holding on to trauma and fear, and that's influencing your ability. The solution would be is to have a better self-image, have compassion, stop talking shit about yourself, stop labeling in black and white concrete and absolutes that you can or can't do something. And then the second thing, on the topic of confidence, having a conversation, Paul, with someone I respect and I admire your work. Where does confidence come from?
Within.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me more.
Yeah. So confidence is the byproduct of, use the word prehab earlier, the preparation, the raising the belief to align with your identity, your potential. And for me, it comes through the repetitions, through the time under pressure, if you will, because every opportunity that I put in there, preparing and practicing, is a snapshot of the reality I'm trying to create to bring that skill to the surface.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Repetition is the mother of mastery. But Paul, have you ever had like a season of like deep practice, or a practice round, or a lot of work, and you went into a golf round and you sucked? Has that happened before?
It has happened.
Okay. So preparation is part of it. But if you look at the clinical research from the BBC lab in the UK, 44,000 participants, they found that self-talk is the number one driver of confident action. So you're linking your preparation, and you're communicating with your mind and your nervous system and your muscles. You're transferring that practice into the round. The best performers. Now, the third one would be your process. So identity, self-talk, what you verbalize and what you visualize. So we want to, use what I call championship self-talk, as in narrating. Like, how is your narration in your of your round? Are you placing meaning? Oh, I just bogeyed. It's gonna be one of those days. It's gonna be one of those days. I cannot feel my chip game. I have no feel of the putter right now. You're narrating negativity, and the body produces over 300 billion cells per day. Your cells are eavesdropping on your thoughts. Why would you narrate negatively? Instead, narrate with confidence. That was an anomaly. That's not like me. I know I learned from that terrain, or I have a feel. I'll just tweak it this way. So identity, I'm a finisher. I'm a recoverer. I compete. This is, that's who I am. And then the self-talk, that's narrating it and visualizing. And the third one would be process. And I'll get into that. But let me just finish one more time on that part too. Yeah. Identity, self-talk, and process. With your self-talk, if I'm coaching golfers, I say hit a shot 3 times every time. See it in your mind before you swing, and then swing it. And then anchor that by seeing how you want to do it again right after you swing it. If you have a great swing, just reinforce the swing. If it didn't go where you wanted to, just give yourself the little tweak. All right, next time I'm going to make it feel like this. So you get to swing the same shot 3 times. And what's fascinating about the brain, Paul, is the brain cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. and how often, because you have, what's so interesting about golf, this is so crazy about golf, is from start to finish, how long would be the average swing time? Maybe with your pre-shot routine, maybe 10 to 12 seconds, maybe? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But how much time do you have in between each shot?
Minutes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like in football. The average football game is 3 hours, but there's only 11 minutes of actual competition in play. You have 2 hours and 49 minutes to think yourself into football. In football and in golf, all your practices is in that like 6 to 10 seconds of competition, but you have not trained how to think and win between each moment, and that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. So if I was your mental coach in golf, we would script out your self-taught game plan. Yeah. We would script out your identity statements. We would script out, now we would work on your process, your pre-swing routine, and connecting your time. How many wasted swings do average golfers do? How many wasted swings? So I think there's different levels of practice. You should do some exploratory feel practice. Mm-hmm. Like get your feel, get your yardage, get your, and there should be some practice where you're simulating a round in the practice. And then you want your round to feel the exact same. You want your pre-shot routine. You want your mental imagery to align. There's really good evidence of this about your process should be the same. Christy Kerr in 2010 set an LPGA Tour record of the largest margin of victory. In her 260 strokes, she had the same pre-swing routine for 254 of those swings. And then Tiger Woods in his run between 1997 to like 2007, no one had seen that ring of terror ever. What they found in their research of looking at that time of dominance, when Tiger was within like 2 or 3 strokes or had a lead on Sunday, he never lost. But what's interesting is his score on Sunday was roughly the same as Saturday, as Friday and Thursday. People just got worse on Sunday. He stayed the same. So that's what the elite level golfers are able to do, is transfer that round with themselves into the practice round, into whether it's competing, whether it's a tournament, and just keeping that process, that pre-shot routine, that self-talk.
Incredible. I want to go back to the mental interference. You gave us that phenomenal equation: talent plus skill minus mental interference equals execution probability. As well as I do, awareness has the potential to be power, but that awareness needs to be complemented with action. So if I'm listening and I'm hearing what you're saying, I'm getting curious as to why I'm so fearful of judgment, embarrassing myself in front of person A, B, and C. And now I have this awareness, and I go back and I see there's some moments during teenage years and younger years where I had this presentation and I embarrassed myself. What next? What's the additional complementary action the listener takes once they have that awareness, so that they can continue to minimize interference when they need to perform at their best?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think part of it is going to the source. Like, a question I ask leaders if I'm consulting or coaching them is, what's some mental interference that you're experiencing frequently? Like, what is causing noise in your mind? Like, what are you thinking about? Like, what are you thinking about that's causing you stress? Like, can you identify it? And then we just talk about it. And it kind of goes back to the phrasing: if you can name it, you can tame it. And this is what's called cognitive diffusion. The thought is not the thinker. The feeling is not the feeler. Yeah. So it's just, this is your opponent. It's not the terrain. It's not the competition. This is from Plato. The first and greatest victory is to conquer self. So find that interference and just give it a label. That kind of separates. You're kind of being an observer. You're observing what I call your thought life. Like, you're observing, how you experience yourself, and just having some compassion. And then the 3 steps we just outlined is, what are you labeling yourself in a negative way? Mm-hmm. So maybe, Paul, look at your business or look at your golf game. What are some negative labels or how you describe yourself that is not the most kind? what have you said? Maybe let's just kind of, if I'm coaching you, we're imagining the listeners are, if Coach Collin asks you this question,
I'm inconsistent with my driver. I'm an inconsistent driver. There it is.
So what would be a better reframe of that?
I feel confident and in control with driver in hand.
Or let's not be, there's also this thing called toxic positivity we have to be aware of. Mm-hmm. So what if we said, I'm working on controlling the driver, and maybe have that be a self-talk mantra, or I'm committed to being more process driven with my driver. Just do not allow yourself. One of my mentors, his name is Trevor Moad, 2017 Sports Illustrated World Best Brain Trainer. He had his teams. He worked with Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, like all these professional teams. It's the acronym S4OL. So there are 4 S's. Mm-hmm. Stop saying stupid shit out loud. Why would you talk shit about it? Like, why would you verbalize? Like, because words are tools. Words are your wand. Words create worlds. Why would you say, I'm not consistent with my driver? What are you telling your body to do? To be shake-eponymous? Like, why would you? So that's a bad dad joke. But why would you? So just stop using words to label yourself in a non-productive way. One of my favorite athletes is Derek Jeter. For a lot of reasons. He played shortstop in New York for 20 years. Never been done before anywhere in the major leagues. But he's the postseason record holder in all-time postseason hits. His batting average, if you look at his career, the same in the postseason as a regular season as spring training. He treated every single competition the exact same. But I love a story that Don Mattingly told on an interview. What's your favorite Jeter story? And he said that Jeter was just a savage mentally. Like we would be, playing against a team and we were facing their ace. He's batting lead off, and it didn't happen often, but every now and then Jeter would strike out his first at bat, and he would come in the dugout and he would say, "That guy got nothing. He got nothing. Like, I'm going to get the next one. I saw what he's doing. I know what his game plan is. Like, I'm going to get the next one." Like, his identity of being a competitor and a clutch performer at the highest level, he's known as Mr. November. He would come in and he would narrate his identity and self-talk, what he's going to do next. He would never talk trash about himself. Yeah. So that would be a really, I don't know, common sense is a common practice. That's because someone doesn't mean it's easy. Is just do not describe yourself. I'm not consistent with driver. Just stop it. Like, just write down a reframe identity statement about who you're working towards. That would be step one. I can keep building off this, but let's pause for let that sink in if you want to comment.
No, it's great. That. Build away.
Okay. So let's look at how you're describing yourself about yourself. Stop saying negative shit out loud about yourself. What you say to yourself has 10 times the power. The most powerful force is how you see yourself. You never outperform your self-image. I'll say it again. You never outperform your self-image. So you are verbalizing all the shit you can't do. You're done. That's your ceiling. You never outperform that vision. The second thing it would be to do, Paul, is to take that identity and don't listen to yourself, but talk to yourself. Don't listen to yourself. Talk to yourself. According to research from the National Science Foundation, what % of human thoughts are negative?
90%, roughly.
80%, and then 95% of human thoughts are reoccurring. So, again, you've worked on, you got the right golf club, you got the right, Nike golf shoe, you got your stretchy golf pants on, you worked on the simulation, you worked on your swing, you have a swing coach, but no one has taught you how to think. You're spending all your time and energy on the physicality of the game, but not on the mental game. So just like you would script out, I played at Washington State University, go Cougs. I played baseball and football. In football, we would script out based off of scouting our opponents, what's our offensive game plan? Why would you not script out what are you going to say to yourself in between each swing? What are your focus keys in between each shot? An example of this is in 1996, Michael Johnson set a world record in the 200. He won a gold in the 400. And they asked him, you're training for 4 years. Like, how do you handle the pressure? How do you handle that moment? You have 4 years to think, and you got one shot. In golf, you have a few minutes. I mean, think about 4 years. Like, what do you do in that moment to transfer all your training into that one moment? And he says, performance is like going shopping. If you don't write down a shopping list, you're going to waste time, waste energy, and buy shit you don't need. So he's like, my focus, because I knew I had top end speed. My focus to myself, my self-talk was this: head down, pump my arms, explode. I'm a bullet. He knew if he can have a good start, he would crush because his top end was the best in the world. So his narration, his self-talk, this is going from, there are 3 types of self-talk. There's motivational self-talk, there's instructive self-talk, and there's decisive self-talk. Mm-hmm. The most powerful of this is decisive and committing to one thing to give your brain something simple to think about. And when you have that type of self-talk, it's called thought replacement, thought substitution. You're occupying your mind with something so negativity can't come in. It's occupied. Kind of like if you had a gallon, if you had I'm drinking LaCroix, I have 12 ounces of LaCroix. If I dumped a gallon of LaCroix, how much is it? There's still 12 because your brain's occupied with a more processed, in your control thing that tells your brain what you want to do versus what you don't want it to do. So head down, pump, explode, he won the gold. So have a self-talk. So today in my round, my focus is going to be balance, breath, trust. Balance, breath, trust. And you would, if I was your mental coach, we would kind of give you some thought scenarios of what you would replay and what you would focus on in between each swing. Okay. Yeah. And part of that next third one process is a reset routine. So let's have you've heard of this before. Most golfers at this level have a pre-swing routine. Mm-hmm. But do you have a reset release routine to not let a bad swing, a bad hole turn to a bad round? So we would work through 3 process reset routines: a verbal reset, a physical reset, and a visual reset. I can expand on that if you want me to keep going, but we can pause right there.
This is phenomenal. I mean, I have so many nuggets and directions we can go. I guess what I want to come back to, and then we'll circle back to the reset routine, is you use the word a couple times throughout, pressure. And I come back as my mind is connecting the dots of this insightful conversation. We've got mental interference. We all possess our own reasons for experiencing mental interference. You work with performers on some of the biggest stages and some of the biggest sporting events where there is at least a perception of the pressure from the outside. When someone listening is stepping into their own perceived pressure moment and likely is to experience potentially louder mental interference, how do you turn down the volume to help them find the ease and consistency, focusing on their preparation, self-talk, and processes?
I'm going to draw a visual, and I'll show the visual for the people partaking in the podcast. You can see it, but I'll explain it for the ones that are listening. So there's a thing called the spotlight effect, where everyone's thinking everyone's judging them. So let's just go back to baseball example. The hitter's thinking everyone's looking at me. The pitcher's thinking everyone's looking at me. The umpire's thinking everyone's judging how I'm calling balls and strikes. The manager, people think how I'm managing the game. The shortstop, everyone judging, how I'm playing shortstop. The scout is like my whole organization judging how I'm evaluating players. This is a great quote from Megan Rapinoe. She once said, "Your opponent is more nervous than you." So while you're approaching that tee shot, guess what? The other 3, they're also thinking about, how do I look? are people judging? So here's a visual that I'm going to show. So there's a circle fully filled in. That's the amount of mental energy you're thinking about people thinking about you. The other circle is just one tiny speck. This is the reality. No one goes to bed thinking about your mistake. They're not thinking about you. So that's this just kind of like narcissistic culture we're in, where you think you're that important. You're not. I mean, you're a valuable person on the planet, but they're not critiquing, judging. They're more worried about how they look. So I think a freeing thing is everyone's feeling stressed.
Yeah.
Everyone's feeling the pressure. Oh, you think you're super special? You're the only one? You're not. So the best, I think what I've seen at these levels, the best performers love the process, love the experience more than the result. Like, I love winning championships. I love winning. But you think Tom Brady played for 40 till he was 45? He loved watching film. He loved the, coming in on practice and competing, game planning. It was like chess. It's like, you have to love the experience more than the result. You have to love the joy of competing and everything that golf represents more than the result. So once you can master these words, process over outcome. I want to give credit to my friend Chris Collin. He calls it being an outcome junkie. Where you have destination disease, where you're so consumed about the result. It's like, wait, hold up. Paul, let me get this straight. So you're going to fly or drive to Bandon Dunes, get an Airbnb, play 4 days in a row, and throw your club and mother F and lose sleep. Man, you've invested all this time. Like, why would you be miserable? Like, look how beautiful it is. Look at the Oregon. I mean, look at the terrain. You're with your brother and your cousin and your best friend since you were 12. Like, let's just get this straight. Your prayers are, you're fully fucking privileged if you are, going off the deep end over shanking 2 or 3 shots.
Yeah.
So it's just that perspective. It's just that perspective shift. I would start there.
That's huge. It's huge. Yeah. It's a wonderful way to frame managing expectations. And I love your diagram. So for those of you who are watching, make sure you are listening, make sure you go watch and check it out, even though Collin described it so well. Nobody is thinking about you as much as you think they are. And I think that, like you use the word, it's freeing when you allow yourself to realize it and give yourself permission to accept and admit, yeah, nobody's thinking about me. That's a good thing, because now it frees you up to focus on you and your processes.
Mm-hmm. And why don't you have, the best, this is from Steve Jobs, it's hard to regret something if you're not passionate about it. And I remember when I heard LeBron James, you can argue GOAT debate. I think Jordan's the GOAT, but I do like Steph Curry. But there is a video of LeBron watching himself as a 16-year-old. He was interviewed by a reporter, and the reporter says, LeBron, you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated. You're on the cover of ESPN Magazine. Are you feeling pressure? You mentioned the word pressure. Are you feeling pressure? Like, what is it like? Everyone named your name. You're probably the first overall pick. Like, do you feel the weight of what you're experiencing at such a young age? And his response was a bona fide precursor guarantee why he was a first ballot Hall of Famer locked to be a GOAT. And he said, pressure? It's hard to feel pressure when you do what you love. People have known my name since I was 11. I don't play for the notoriety. I play because I'm obsessed with basketball. I play because I love the sport. Yeah. And instantly, again, where he's creating significance, where he's creating meaning, where he's getting his identity was not outcome specific. He's describing at a 16-year-old unshakable confidence.
It's powerful. What's the action step? I often tell my clients, and a lot of listeners will resonate with this, and I know you'll understand it very deeply, that for a period of time, that attachment of your worth and esteem to results can show up as a superpower if it drives tenacity, ambition, commitment, work ethic. I also share, inevitably, it reaches a breaking point where that superpower becomes a kryptonite From your world, your perspective, personal, professional experience, how does one begin to detach from their self-esteem and self-worth being so directly tied to the results they experience?
Do we want to create another visual?
We
Paul?
do.
And I'll lead it with a story. Do you know the name Steve Young?
I do.
Okay. Steve Young and is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Played at BYU, played with Tampa Bay, got traded to the 49ers, was Joe Montana's backup, and then won multiple Super Bowls, was the MVP, I think, multiple times. One of my mentors went to Cal Berkeley, and she was sitting in a class by Dr. Edwards, who was the performance coach for the 49ers. Dr. Edwards brought in Steve Young to guest lecture. Imagine that. And Steve Young is giving a masterclass on winning. And she was in the audience at the peak 90s when Steve Young was the best player in the world playing quarterback. And a student asked him a question, what's your number one source of your success and your confidence? And as she told the story, he paused for a moment and then he gave the answer. He says, I credit my success at quarterback in the NFL is this one thing. I'm a lawyer. I'm not just a football player. I have a law degree. My whole family, we're all a bunch of lawyers. So I practice law in the off season. Like I have a game plan. Like I am not just a football player. I'm a lawyer. I'm a husband. I'm a person of faith. I'm a father. There's more to me than playing quarterback. So this is an example of having a balance, what I call your me wheel. So let's just put an E for entrepreneur, an L for leader, or a G for golfer. So imagine a bike wheel having one spoke, and all it is entrepreneur, leader, golfer. That's how you get your significance, how your identity is, how your self-worth. The reason why you struggle in pressure situations is because your identity is so fragile, it's only attached to a result that you can't control. So what we want to do as an action step is do the mental exercise of awareness and understanding. And I want you to add more spokes to your me wheel.
Yeah.
So you're a friend, you're a volunteer, you're a person of faith. You're a husband, father, wife, daughter. You have other hobbies. You like to draw. I mean, so let me get this straight. If you lose playing checkers, is your day screwed? Like, how is golf and checkers any different? How is playing Foursquare or playing Uno with your daughter any different? It's a game. It's a game. Whoever invented golf didn't say, I'm going to create an activity that's going to create massive anxiety and ruins people's like. Do you think they do that? No, they created it's a game. So the elites in the world treat it like a game. It's competition. I want your best to bring out my best.
Yeah.
This is just a great, invitation to unlock my full potential and to practice great life skills of presence, of focus, of, habit formation, of what a great, when our daughters, when they get married, I'm going to take their fiance golfing. Why? Because you got 4 to 5 hours to see how's their character. Are they going to cheat? Can they carry a conversation? How do they respond when things don't go their way? Do they react? Do they throw stuff? Do they yell? Are they fully present in the moment? Can they carry a conversation? Are they I-centered? Are they we-centered? Like, to me, golf is such a great test of character traits that winners must have in anything in life.
Very well said. I couldn't agree more. For me, my listeners know this. It's a very new chapter of life I've stepped in. As you told me before we hit recording, being a father, man, you've been doing it for a while and doing it well. I'm about a year into it, and it is an identity for a long time. Prior to my son, I refused to step into. I was attached to my business, my profit and loss statement. That was how good I felt about myself. And fatherhood, for many reasons, but especially this has been one of the biggest blessings because as you just diagrammed, it's added another spoke to my me wheel. And now it is the priority. It's where I get so much pride, joy, and happiness. And it doesn't matter if I have a shit round on the golf course or a great round. Coming home to him, that smile, that laugh, everything is right in the world. So I love that example.
Nice. Yeah, but it takes practice. And it just takes, so it's kind of like looking at your performance. There are 3 things you can train as a performer: your body, your craft, and your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So body would be, hydration, fuel, sleep hygiene, rest recovery, cardio, strength training. Most adult golfers, most business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, they're working craft. You mentioned P&L, you mentioned competition, your sales pitch, your spreadsheets. How much of success and greatness is the mind, that third bucket? So you have a game plan for training physically, you have a game plan for skill training, like physical skill training, but nothing on your mindset. So I think that would be a great step for anybody who want to lower your score. Going to the driving range isn't going to do it. It can actually backfire if you try too hard. There's almost part of it. Have you ever noticed, Paul, that a lot of times your best round is when you've taken a break from playing for a few weeks or a month?
Yeah, we talk about that quite a bit here. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because that when you look at flow state, you kind of have laid fresh powder on your brain that you're not have this recency bias of your bad swings. So you have like a fresh, clean slate where you're just playing free. And then that's why it's called the sophomore slump. You've heard that, is because you're trying to recreate what you just did and you're not present, and you need to see an outcome and you need the validation.
Well said. So let me get you out of here on this, Collin. One of my favorite questions to ask. Imagine a billboard perfectly placed on a golf course so it's visible from all 18 holes, and you have an opportunity to write one lasting message, reminder, a takeaway from our conversation on that billboard for all of the athletes, participants, and players to see. What message are you putting on that billboard?
I'd have every person memorize, live, have a conversation, and have a reminder of these 5 words. These 5 words will change your life. I'm not defined by this. You are not defined by a great swing, a bad swing, a good round, a bad round. Let's stop attaching our, again, worth from doing. I got to do to get worth and to get love and peace, to being. Be present, be of service. The other word I thought of in real time was like abundance. I would say either I'm not defined by this or abundance. Just think abundantly, abundance. Like be someone who lives abundantly. Abundant with your kind words, abundance with your service, abundance with your expectation. The best is ahead.
This has been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so
I
much.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that. I just love these conversations. So my personal mission statement is to transform lives and normalize mindset training. So whether we're talking about entrepreneurship, parenthood, golf, knitting, doesn't matter. She'd be normalizing mindset work.
What does your own mindset work look like? How do you attack it?
Yeah, my own mindset work is to practice what I preach. So I have systems in place. Another quote from James Clear: we don't rise to our goals, we fall to our system. So I have a morning priming system. I have a whole routine I developed, before I go to sleep, of like what I listen to get my mind into what I visualize. I have core values. I'm a G, be G'd up from the feet up. God first, gratitude, give, grow, and grace. We have a slogan in our family: Henderson's help. So I ask them, who'd you help today, every day? So it's just like making this like a daily practice of, how do you embed this? Instead of goal setting as a key, process, become your goals. What are the behaviors and the practices to create the energy and the mental state where, maybe we'll end with this story. Okay. Can we end with a story?
We can.
Going back to that identity statement. One of my favorite movie scenes is in the movie Armageddon, when Ben Affleck is playing a character. His name's AJ, and they drew straws. Like someone has to stay back and detonate the bomb to blow up this freaking meteor that's going to destroy the world. And Harry, played by Bruce Willis, didn't draw the shortest straw. It was supposed to be AJ, but he kicked AJ out. He jumped in, the elevator to go and to be the one that was going to die to detonate this thing. And it came down to like the last 10 seconds. And AJ is like, he's going to hit it. Don't discharge. He doesn't know how to fail. Harry's going to find a way to do it. He knows. So that just belief is that it may not happen right now. It may not happen tomorrow, but outcomes are not final. You are going to figure out a way to figure it out. And that to me is the ultimate supreme confidence. It isn't that I know the answer, is that I can figure this out. It's eventually going to turn my way. So stay in the process, be kind to others, but be kind to yourself as well, and work on your identity. Practice and script out your self-talk and what you want to visualize, and get that process and reset routine dialed in.
Where can our listeners go to learn more about you, to connect with you, learn how to work with you?
Yeah, I would check out thecollinhenderson.com. I've written 7 books and 2 journals, so you want to go to Amazon and search Collin Henderson. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn, search Collin Henderson.
Awesome. Dude, phenomenal conversation. Thank you so much.
Paul, it was truly an honor.
And for those of you listening, thank you for tuning in to this masterclass. I'm still at a loss of words trying to describe it. Life-changing potential in this conversation. Do yourself a favor. Go back, listen, take notes, review those notes, and go share it with a friend, somebody who needs to hear the many nuggets and pieces of wisdom that Collin has shared with us today. And if you haven't done so already, it takes 30 seconds to leave a genuine rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is you're listening to today's conversation. Thank you again for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Hit them straight this weekend, and we'll catch you in the next episode.